Lingportal Stories. Whispers in the Mirror. Hello and welcome to Lingportal Stories. Tonight we'll step into the fog together. A soft light, a quiet house, and a story about courage, memories, and saying goodbye. You'll learn English naturally through this story, so relax, listen, and let the English carry you. This is Whispers in the Mirror. It was in the dead of night when Eleanor arrived at the old manor at the edge of the moor. A pale fog rolled across the fields, moving like ghostly fingers over the grass. The gate creaked as she pushed it open. The sound was long, low, and lonely. It felt as if the house itself had woken up to watch her. Eleanor wasn't brave by nature. She wasn't looking for adventure. She simply wanted to see the house her late aunt had left her. A quiet, kind woman who always smelled of lavender and old books. No one in the village had known much about her aunt's life. People just said that the house had a mind of its own. Eleanor lifted her small lantern. Its dim light trembled in the fog. The manor stood tall and silent, its windows like closed eyes. She took a deep breath, turned the heavy key, and stepped inside. The arrival. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of dust and time. A clock ticked somewhere far away. The floorboards whispered softly under her shoes. "Good evening," she said into the silence, feeling a little foolish. Her voice echoed down the corridor, soft and uncertain. Portraits lined the walls, men and women in velvet, lace, and pearls. Their eyes seemed to follow her every move. When she turned her lantern away, she could almost feel their gaze still resting on her back. At the end of the hall, she saw a wooden door, half open, breathing out a faint, sweet smell of lavender. Eleanor pushed it slowly. Inside was the library. Tall shelves reached up to the ceiling, filled with dusty books and forgotten journals. A cold draught moved across the room, turning a page in one of the open volumes. It made a soft, sighing sound, like someone trying to speak after a long silence. "Don't be silly," she whispered to herself. "Houses breathe, that's all." The mirror. She lifted her lantern higher, and the light fell on something large beside the fireplace. A tall mirror. Its frame was carved with ivy leaves, birds with closed eyes, and tiny flowers frozen in wood. Eleanor stepped closer. The glass seemed darker than normal, deeper somehow, as if it could swallow light. Her reflection looked back at her, a pale face, tired eyes, but curious and alive. Behind her reflection stood the books, the shadows, and the slow dance of candlelight. Then something moved in the reflection, a shadow, soft as smoke. Eleanor spun round. Nothing. She laughed nervously and looked again. Only her own face. She reached out and touched the frame. It was cold and smooth. And then she heard it. A voice. So close it could have been her own breath. "Who are you?" Eleanor froze. Her heart jumped into her throat. She looked around, but the room was empty. She swallowed hard. "Eleanor," she said. "I'm Eleanor." The house went still. Then again. Don't be afraid. I was afraid for years. Eleanor's lantern flickered. Her pulse quickened. But curiosity pushed her forward. The cupboard. On the mantelpiece above the fireplace, she saw a small key. Under it lay a folded note in delicate handwriting. For the cupboard, when you're ready. Eleanor turned slowly. At the far end of the library, a curtain lifted itself slightly, as if moved by invisible hands. Behind it, a narrow door waited. She walked across the rug, holding the lantern close. The lock turned easily. Click. Inside was a tall cupboard with shelves. On the top shelf, boxes tied with green ribbons. On the middle shelf, a tin of dried lavender and a stack of letters. And on the bottom, a small wooden case, smooth and heavy. Eleanor lifted the case and set it on the table. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside lay a silver hand mirror, its back engraved with ivy and birds, the same design as the tall mirror. The glass was dark as deep water. A folded note lay beside it. Eleanor opened it carefully. To the one who comes after me, the mirror remembers. It keeps what we cannot hold. If you wish to listen, listen with kindness. If you wish to let go, say the word. It was signed in her aunt's familiar hand. Eleanor's chest tightened. She looked at the tall mirror again. Something shifted inside the glass, a faint human shape. A woman, with kind, patient eyes. Eyes she knew. "Aunt?" she whispered. The figure nodded gently and lifted a hand, a gesture that spoke without words. Release. Let go. Eleanor understood. The mirror wasn't a trap. It was a bridge. A place where memories rested until someone loved them enough to set them free. "What is the word?" she asked. The whisper came again, faint as a breath. "Thank you." Eleanor blinked, her throat tight. "Is that it?" "Thank you, and goodbye." Eleanor felt tears rise. She stood before the mirror and spoke clearly, her voice steady. "Thank you, and goodbye." For a heartbeat, nothing moved. Then the glass rippled, a soft shimmer, like water touched by wind. A fine line of light ran from top to bottom, and a gentle sigh filled the room, long and warm, like someone falling asleep at last. Silence followed, but it was not an empty silence. It was a kind silence. Morning light. Eleanor smiled through her tears. The library felt brighter, the air lighter. She placed the mirror back in its case and tied the green ribbon neatly. She arranged the letters, closed the cupboard, and turned the key. On the table, the heavy book had opened by itself. To a recipe for winter biscuits with lavender sugar. Eleanor laughed quietly. "All right," she said. "Tomorrow. Biscuits." She blew out the candle, took one last look at the portraits, and whispered, "Good night, and thank you for the company." The faces seemed peaceful now, almost smiling. As she walked down the corridor, the clock ticked softly, and the house seemed to rest. Outside, the fog was lifting. The hedges sparkled with dew. The gate closed behind her with a softer sound, and as she looked back, for just a moment, she saw her aunt's eyes in the reflection of the tall mirror, kind, proud, and gone like a star behind a cloud. The house stood quiet at last. Vocabulary Spotlight. Now, let's look at some useful words and expressions from the story. Repeat after me, and pause the video if you need more time. In the dead of night. Very late, when it's darkest. She arrived at the house in the dead of night. To have a mind of its own. To act or move independently, as if alive. The old clock seemed to have a mind of its own. A sigh. A soft breath that shows emotion, sadness, or relief. He let out a deep sigh. A draught. A light current of air inside a room. A cold draught came from under the door. To send shivers down your spine. To make you feel scared or excited. The whisper sent shivers down her spine. Scared stiff. So frightened that you can't move. She was scared stiff when she saw the shadow. To let go, release. To free something, to stop holding it. Sometimes we must let go of the past. A kind silence. A peaceful quiet that feels safe. After the storm, there was a kind silence. Mini practice. Now it's your turn. Can you make your own sentence with one of today's expressions? For example, in the dead of night, I heard someone whisper my name. Write your sentence in the comments. Your words will help others learn too. Thank you for joining me on this mysterious journey. You've just listened to Lingportal Stories, Whispers in the Mirror. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment and subscribe so more learners can discover English through calm and beautiful storytelling. Have a peaceful night, a kind silence, and dreams full of soft light and gentle English. Goodbye, and see you next time.